Today we are going to learn another important annotations of Core framework. Okay, that is at the rate value. The value annotations we are going to learn today. As part of the yesterday class, we have covered autoad and qualifier annotations as part of this the uh, previous example. So at the rate autoer and qualifier, these are the things we have seen as part of the previous class, right? So but today I am going to explain how we can make use of the at the rate value to inject the literals, right? So for that, what I have done, I have created one package here to distinguish like what are the annotations we are going to cover, that we will put into this package kind of things. Okay, so let me quickly create the class. Here I will take employee class. Quickly, to demonstrate the annotations at the right value, I'll take the employee class. Employee is having one property, private int emp id is the property of the employee, and a private string emp name. This is the two fields I have. Okay, that is the two fields I have, and I will insert the two string method to display the uh, record of the employee. This is the things I am taking, and nothing in not any other method I am taking. Only will I will take employee ID and employee name, that I will try to inject to the employee with the help of the at the rate value. Okay. So before that, how we are injecting? Okay. So let me create. So instead of application context we have created. So let me create another file, the context file, that is emp or employee.xml. Okay, employee the xml is the xml file for this application, right? So here I am going to create employee test, where I will provide employee test. Okay, so this is the file, this is the class I have written. Okay, let me summarize one thing. So I have written the employee class, which is having employee ID, employee name, and the two string method, fine. And for the configuration things, I have provided the employee.xml to distinguish previous example, understand context, and employee, this one. Okay. So what I will do, I will copy these things from this previous one, and that I'm going to use. Okay. So employee.xml I will print here, and here I will just close the beans tag. Okay, so that is the things I have created. And here what I'll do, I will write the bean class. Bean, what class we are writing? We are writing the bean class. uh, what we want to inject all these values to the employee. Okay, so I will show how we are doing previously and how we can make use of the value annotations to work with the um, to inject the literal value to the employee class. Okay, so let me quickly work on this. Being employee and class is equals to com dot it dot value annotations dot employee, right? Employee is the class. Okay, fine. And what are the property I'm using here? Property is emp id, if I'm not wrong. Okay, then value is equals to, for example, employee ID is 101, and this is the things. And again another field is there, property name equal to emp name, and value is equals to, let's say, Prakash. Okay, this is the value I just wanted to this is the class employee object will be created, and this is the two literals that will be injected into the employee class object. Okay, so that is our agenda. Traditionally we are doing this one, right? So let me write the main method here inside that, and let me create the container, application container, application context container, context is equals to new class path, application context. Okay, here what we will pass, we have written that employee employee dot xml. I have renamed into employee name. Okay, employee dot xml. So what I'll do, I'll call the bean method context dot get bean method, and the bean id is employee, employee, and here I will pass employee dot class. Okay, and at the end I'll end, and I will introduce one local variable, and this is the employee, and simply I just wanted to print the whatever the employee we have inserted that. I just wanted to print. If I run, uh, it will what it will do, it will inject all the values 101 and employee Prakash, and that we will see. Okay, right table. Okay, so we got the exception here. So my that is my bad. While creating the employee class, I have not created the setter method for that. Okay, so what I will do, I will quickly go and I will go to the setter method and I will inject all these through the setter method. Okay, setter method I have created so that it will set the value for that. If I run again, so you will see you will get the correct output, right? So as you can see, it is injected 101 and employee name Prakash, that is inserted successfully. That is fine. That is the traditional way we are using by using this all these things. Okay. So if I comment out all these things, so it will not inject, right? So if I run and you will see employee ID is null 0 and that is employee name is null. It is expected, right? So how we can use inject this property, literal property, to the employee object, to the employee class object by means of value annotation. So for that, what I'm going to do here is I will go to the resource, and here this is the employee info, right? So what I can do, I can write emp info dot properties file. Okay, employee info dot properties file I will create. Here inside that I am writing, I will write emp dot id is equals to, in the property file, the whatever the value, the whatever the things we are going to place, that should be in the key value for emp dot id is equals to, this time I'll change the employee id, but because you'll think that the same output it is coming, right? Otherwise you'll think. So for that I've changed to 101, and emp dot name is equals to, this time I'll take John. Okay, this John is the employee. Fine. So what we can do, if I go to this one, for the setter level, what we can do, we can put at the rate value here, value annotation. So what my intention here is, instead of injecting the literals from the XML like this, what we have introduced one EMP info property file where we are configuring all the property, and in the class level, in the class setter method level, the value, this value we can use setter level, constructor level, as well as the field level. Okay, that I will show you. But before that, what I am doing, I am putting into in on top of the setter level. Okay, this is the employee name. So here, in order to get the value from the property file, what we have to use, we have to use the dollar symbol and the curly braces for that, and and inside that I'm going to write the key emp dot, this is the name, and emp dot name, whatever the key we have passed, the same thing we have, I'm going to write here. Okay, so employee name, and here also emp dot id id. Okay, so what it will do, if we start the if you start the IOC container pick the employee id from the employee info, this employee id and employee name, employee info properties file. Okay, so here we are using annotations, right? To work with the annotations, we have to incorporate certain things in our this time in our XML file. So since we are using XML file, so that we have to take care at the end of the configuration, the configuration file itself. Okay, so to work with the annotation, so what we have to do, we have to inject this one, context colon annotation config. Otherwise you will not, this will not work. Okay, this is the one thing, that the first thing to work with the annotation. And we have introduced another property file. Okay, to in order to detect this property file, for that we have to use something, right? So for that, what Spring people are provided, context colon property placeholder. Oh, this is the things. And here we have to provide the location is nothing but the class path colon, and what is the, oh sorry, what is the file name, emp hyphen info dot properties. Okay, right, this is the property. Okay, this is the property we have to specify. This is the placeholder, property placeholder, where is the all the things are there, property placeholder value, whatever we have specified here, that is where actually emp info property file, right? So that location we have to specify. This is nothing but the class path, and a property file is the property file where it is inside the class path, right? So that is why we are mentioning class path and the file name. Okay, so even we can if it is the file is not there in the class path, so whatever the location that is there, we can provide here itself. Okay, so now I'm going to run this, so it will give the output as John and employee ID is 1 or 2, right? So it is providing 1 or 2 and employee name John. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to do here is now, what I'm going to do now is, like we have seen this property value I have provided inside so on the top of the setter method. So now I will change this setter method into the top of the these things property. Okay, directly. So I will copy this and I will comment this time set employee ID and employee ID. I will paste that. Okay. Okay, fine. Before that, let me put some comment s out set emp setter method, right? So let me put set emp method called. Okay. Okay, fine. So here also I will put sys out, this time set emp name, set emp name method called. Okay, this is the two things I have put it. I have just captured to capture the log. So what I my intention here is, like I just wanted to let me okay, sorry, let me uncomment one more time and let me comment for the time being to demonstrate all the previous things. So if I run the previous things, as you can see, so this setter method is executing, right? So to executing to set the value, right? It is executing and it is setting the value and we are getting the correct output. Okay, now I will show you by putting these things on top of the property. Okay, that is going to work. Okay, so what it will do, if I run, then you can see now I have placed all the value annotation on top of the property itself. So now you can see it is not injecting the value via the setter method. Okay, okay, fine. So what we understood is that, so whenever there is a directly by without using the setter method, we can make use of, we don't require this setter method at all, right? What we can do, we can comment all these things. Okay, if we comment and run, then that is also going to work because it is not calling the setter method at all, right? So this is my intention to show. Okay, how we can work with the value annotations, okay, on the field level. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so if I want to inject the value annotation through the constructor, then what we have to do, we have to provide the constructor. Okay, let me write the constructor and here for all the fields, and I want to inject this one. So to inject the annotation, like value annotation, the whatever the value we want to inject, if you want to provide, then here we have to comment this and here also we have to comment this. Okay, so while at the constructor level, what we have to do, we have to provide value annotations, and next one is the employee name. Okay, these annotations, what I have to do, I have to specify here inside the constructor. Okay, so if I provide the constructor, then if I provide the statement sysout constructor called, just to see whether the value is injecting through the constructor call or not. Okay, so let me run. Definitely it will going to inject the value, literal value, through the constructor only. Okay, so constructor called and we are getting 1 or 2 and done. Okay, so this is how we can work with the value annotations by incorporating the external property file, that is emp info property file, specifically with this example, right? Fine. And before, let me tell you one additional point that whenever we are using the setter method, so if we want employee ID, for example, employee ID, then that time we are using the setter method. Okay. So to make it compulsory, we are using at the rate required method, at the rate required annotation. Are you key? Okay, so this is the annotations we are using before. Okay, to make the setter injection compulsory. Okay, to make the setter injection compulsory, so till 5.1, if I'm not wrong, so till 5.1 Spring 5.1 version, at the rate required annotation is used. Now from the 5.1 or 5.2 onwards, that is deprecated. Okay, so if I try to insert, like if I try to write, I try to write the at the rate required, at the required, it is not there. Okay, that is deprecated. So that is why we are not getting. So what they these people told that if you want really want to inject the property of the literals like compulsory, that is compulsory, then what you can do, you can make use of like the constructor injection. So why to use the setter injection? So that is why they have deprecated all these required annotations from Spring 5.1 onwards. Okay, so instead of that, what we can do, we can make use of the constructor injections, right, with the help of the value annotations. So I hope this makes how we can inject the literals with the at the rate value. Okay, so these things, if you remember, these things we will get while working with the real-time example, right? So there are different scenario are there. So just remember how to work with the value annotations through the property file, how you can read the data from the property file through the value annotations. Okay, so that's all for this video. We'll meet in the next video with a new content. Thank you.